Alright, so welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Noah. You're watching Gasser Works. So today we have here the most beat up Yamaha Big Bear 250 anybody's ever seen. I've already done a number of things to this four-wheeler. It's not my four-wheeler. This is somebody else's. I do work on it to make money so I can put gas in my truck and stuff like that. But what we're doing today is they hit a tree with this four-wheeler. As you can see, the bumper is just nowhere near straight. You can see where the tree smacked it. I put a winch in this before already, and I just like to brag here. Everywhere where I welded it, where I put welds on it, didn't break, but everywhere where the stock welds are, like Yamaha did, they all broke. Of course, this is like really thin tubing, you know, so it takes the brunt of your impact instead of like messing you up too bad. But yeah, so all we're doing today is I'm going to straighten this up and re-weld it together. I'm going to put this stuff in it. I've had this in the back of my truck for a while now. I want to put that stuff in the like openings here and stuff like that, so it just kind of protects it a little better. And then we're gonna bolt that back onto the four-wheeler. I also have a new oil drain bolt to put in this thing, so I gotta change the oil. The impact ripped off the leads to the winch on the front, and also the battery came out of it and tore off the positive terminal. So if that gives you any idea how hard this thing hit. Oh, the whole reason it hit the tree in the first place is because there's no brakes. It like has pressure, but you could squeeze it and you can still, forgot that's still back there, you could still roll it really easy. So there's no brakes on it right now, so I gotta figure out why it's got no brakes, change the oil, get that plug out of there that's all messed up, and I gotta straighten up the bumper, reinforce it, and put it back on the four-wheeler, and that lets this thing go back home. So that's what we're after today. I'm bringing you guys along on the journey. So first thing I'm gonna do here is this top rack bolts to the bottom half of the bumper. So I'm gonna remove these two bolts and get the top half off of it, because the top half isn't that beat up, it's just the bottom. But once I get that off of there, that'll allow me to move these things a little better. And I'm thinking, I don't know yet, I might take this bar out of here and put a new one in there, because it's kind of really creased right there, and there's no way I'm going to be able to straighten that crease out. It's always going to have that crease in it by the time I get the bar straight. So I might just take the old plasma cutter and lop off that bar right there. And yeah. Great. Have to watch you move. I can move back. She's twisted bad. This thing is twisted up. Awesome, now we have that piece. So I reckon what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that bumper and lay it down in the gravel so I'm not messing up the concrete while I beat on it with a hammer. So let's see what the old magical hammer does to it. Let's see if we can untrain it for you. It's not gonna be that easy. I already tell you that. Looky there. Break that on. Other side, all sorts of cracking up too right there. That's bad. Okay. Alright, so I got the old plasma cutter busted out. So we can quite easily chop some things off of here. That's it. Don't worry. Awesome, so now I have most all of it cut apart. I even cut some of these pieces out so I could kind of, I'm going to put these on the outside like that. It'll just look cool. I don't know. I feel like being a nice person and getting rid of this metal out of the bed of my truck, so, yeah. Okay, so now that I've cut apart all these little pieces that were messed up, I cut all the offending things off of here. Now the only thing that mounts this piece here is this lower bolt right here, which I'm not sure it's very straight. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna bolt all these things up to the front of the four-wheeler here. This piece probably won't go to anything because it doesn't have oh, it does. It bolts to the rack up top. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna take all these little pieces and we're gonna bolt them together where the bolts hold these things, and whatever's missing I'm gonna remake, because you know, obviously we have some tubes that used to be straight that aren't straight anymore. We can see here This tube used to be straight. That tube used to be straight. That's the other side. Luckily, these are actually pretty easy to remake because, you know, all this is a round tube that's been beat flat on one end with a hole drilled in it. So I'm probably gonna have to remake those two and put another piece there for that. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna bolt all this together and put it on the front of the four-wheeler. Battery's already been unhooked gracefully for me, so don't have to worry about welding on it. Yeah, I'm just gonna put all these things together here, and then I'm gonna tack them together. That way they're in the place they need to be. And I'm gonna remove all of it and weld it all up completely. Okay, so off camera, while I was under here, I bolted those two pieces to the bottom of the frame there and realized that this whole ordeal is just way far in there. It's like everything over here got bent backwards. You know, it kind of like it was better, and then it's so I have to kind of reinvent the bottom of this and how it mounts to the frame right there. It's gonna be a little tricky, because putting this where it used to be, the winch, putting it where it used to sit, all of a sudden the bottom of the bumper is like this far away from where it used to mount. So while I was under here, I went ahead and pulled some of the ugly wiring off of the lights and things here. So what this kid did was he cut the original light plugs. This one wasn't cut. This one was just stripped in the middle with the plugs, you know, twisted around it and electrical taped. It's awful. It was already covered in mud. You could tell it was about to corrode. Anyways, there was like 4 light bar plugs hooked up under there. I'll remove those. I'm gonna put them on. I'm gonna put them back on correctly because I just can't stand seeing that kind of stuff, and that's gonna take me even longer. I'm doing more work than I should be for the amount I got paid for this, but I'm sick of this thing breaking all the time. So preventative maintenance. Anyways, so I have the bumper all in pieces. Like I said, here's the top rack. I went ahead and just kind of stuck it in there. It's not bolted to anything yet, but I don't know if y'all could see this, but this side of the rack, not that side, this side of the rack is pushed backwards. Excuse me. It's pushed backwards like pretty bad. I don't know that you could see that, but that's it sitting where it bolts to, and it's like this side is about maybe an inch back from where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the bolts in it as far as they can go through without actually being tight. That way, you know, I could still like twist it on the bolts, and then I'm going to take a hammer and I'm going to knock right here as hard as I can until it's closer to straight. And then from there, I'm going to take the top bars that mount up here, which are this one and this one, and we're going to bolt those back to the bumper there and there, and then we can support this on some jack stands or something. So we're just going to try to get it supported in the place that it needs to go, so I can be taking measurements and making the bottom mount down there and stuff like that. The rest of this might go back together pretty easily. I'm going to check it out. Okay, so I got this bar tacked in. It holds the top of the little roller thing for the winch in there, and it holds these two bars together right there. This is a new piece. As we could see here, we could see where these bars used to go. I have no clue how it's that big of a difference, but that's all I gotta say about it is I don't know. So my best guess is these two bars here actually bent outwards a whole lot when this was smashed in. So now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm pretty much just gonna have to remake the bottom of this. I'm gonna have to take an angle grinder. I'm gonna cut here, I'm gonna cut these off and reposition them to where they actually meet up back here properly, because this is wrong. So we're going to cut that apart, I reckon. And it's gonna take me a little longer. Okay, so I have the bumper sitting in place. It's sitting in place with the jack stand holding it up, and the top two bolts are holding it in place as well. I have bolted in two pieces of angle iron to the sides of the frame inside of here, and I'm fixing to weld them back on the back of the, weld them to the back of the plate that holds up the winch. These two pieces of angle iron two pieces of angle iron I put in there are going to be replacing these bent tubes. They used to be perfectly straight, now they're very not so straight. Okay, so now I have this piece of tubing here, and I'm gonna cut two 8-inch pieces off of this so I can connect these two bottom mounts to the front of this. Honestly, they should be about like 9 or 10 inches, so they actually meet up with the front up here, but we're gonna get to that. There's a little more going on. I got it second it now. No need to do it. It's magic, so that's it. And now it started raining. Hooray. Okay, so now I've successfully gotten rid of the offensive and put in better. It is kicked this way a little bit, judging by those front bars. But look, have you seen the rest of the four-wheeler? Okay, so don't mind the, you know, awfulness. I'm not the best fabricator in the world, all right? But I put some tubes here. You see they're not straight with that, but you know, if this thing hits, those pieces are coming off the ends of these tubes. These tubes are pretty thick stuff. So I got these all tacked together. Everything's just tacked right now, you know, tacked. But now my next step is to remove this from the four-wheeler. We could see up in here as well. You can see the piece of angle iron right there. Goes up to the bolt hole on the frame up there. What I might do here is cut part of this angle iron off and then beat it flat onto this or something like that, who knows. But there's the other piece in there as well. And yeah, all I gotta do now is I just gotta take the 6 bolts out of this, take it off the four-wheeler, lay it on the ground here, and we're gonna weld it completely up and then bolt it back on the four-wheeler, and that'll be a fixed bumper. And then we can move on to the other things that this thing needs attention to, like the brakes, which is the whole reason this bumper got smashed, the headlights, which kid's gonna ride it at night, he's gonna want some lights on it. And then I gotta change the oil drain plug. Just completely farted out on this four-wheeler. It's gonna be next to impossible to see that, but this whole piece comes out, and then there's an oil drain plug in there that's just absolutely mauled up, so I gotta remove that and change the oil as well. So off we go. Really coming down now. Old 55's getting rained on. Alright, so now I have the front back on the four-wheeler. It's welded up. I'm not gonna mess with it very much. If it needs more later on, I'm real close to it. So there's the front end of the four-wheeler on there. I put some spread sheet metal in there to just kind of, you know, spruce it up a little bit. I think it looks really neat. And now my next magic trick, we have an oil cap. So as you can see here, look at this. There was 4 different kinds of tape on top of the on the rack, just holding things onto it. 4 different kinds of tape. It's, oh my god. Anyways, you can definitely tell this 4-wheeler never gets cleaned. I mean, like, I gotta take this off, and look at how caked in mud it was. They've been taking this thing mudding after I rebuilt the engine, just ruining it. Alright, so I threw a fresh coat of paint on the bumper just to spruce it up a little bit, and really to just cover up my welds so that they don't rust from being dunked in the water a billion times. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys this. I used the air chisel to loosen the drain bolt here, and it was really tight. I think what they did was instead of loosening it when they went to go take it off, they tightened it, and then they couldn't get it loose anymore. So I loosened it. There's a spring behind it. It is not quite going to turn very easy right now. I just wanted to show you guys the oil that was in there. Let's see if I can get a tool to grab that with. We're gonna use these. These will grab it better than my fingers will. Ow! Alright. So this motor, the cam chain wore completely out on it, and it took out the entire top end of the engine along with it. So, golly, I hate this thing. So we have a new head on here. You can kind of see the difference there. I had to, this cylinder is bored 0.1 over, so it has a new piston in it. And yeah, I went through and put new guide chains in here, new cam chain. I redid the entire top end up there. It is as A1 as it could get. But in reality, this thing needs like a new motor in it, because this is awful. This one still runs. What I've told them is after every ride, after every like 3 hours that gets put on this thing, to change the oil. And they've been doing that, but look at that. I don't know if you could see that, but like, do you see the silveriness in that? This is fresh oil. This oil has like 3 hours on it, and it is like super silvery and awful. So back behind here, there's a little screen as well, along with the spring. It gets sprung in there like so. We can kind of see in the screen, there's not any large chunks in the screen, but just a couple. So I'm gonna let this oil drain out for a minute until we stop seeing it come out, and then we gotta put the new cap on there. But we can see here right away, this cap is just about rounded completely off. You can see right there where I hit, you see right there where I hit it with the chisel to bust it free, because the threads are larger in diameter than the head of the bolt. I don't know why they would do that, but yep, that's that. And then the last thing I have to do is rewire the lights up there and put a new connector on the end of the positive terminal of the battery up there. So I'm gonna let this oil drain out, put the new plug in it, and I'll get back to y'all. Okay, so I got the oil cap in there, and here is the headlight connector, one of them. I already made the other one. You can see here, it's pretty bright, but we also had two small corner lights here. So I have the other original headlight connector into two of these. It's as best as I could do. I soldered everything correctly, put heat shrink on it, and then wrapped the whole ordeal in electrical tape. So it's a pretty neat little adapter here. We're just gonna go ahead and stick those things on up in there. But also I wired the winch back up, put new connectors on that because the winch connectors got ripped off when the tree smashed it. And then I also put new battery terminals, or the loop-in connectors, on the positive and negative leads for the battery. I had to swap the battery around so it actually fit, because these are a little tight, but that's okay. We're missing the battery hold down that's supposed to go here, but I'm not gonna worry about that right this second because this is working. So also rerouted these from, instead they were routed like through here, and I'll admit I did do that, but I fixed it, so now it goes underneath all this stuff. It actually goes like that around this box, but now it should be able to latch the seat every time without wires being in the way. And oh, this kid's got LEDs on it, I don't know, but yeah, this is all fine now. All I gotta do is slap the seat back on it and plug that connector in, put the two things on there, pour some Earl in it, because I took all the Earl out of it, and then she's done. Okay, so four-wheeler's back together. The winch is working again. We can just see here, we can works either way. And I got all the lights mounted. They're solid on there. These have a little kick this way to them. That way they can take up the blind spot for the center. But they're really bright. So those are working wonderfully again. So is the winch. Everything back here looks okay. It's running again. I got fresh oil in it. There was one more thing I have to check. It is the brakes. There are no brakes on this four-wheeler. That's the whole reason that front bumper got smashed. So let me see what I can do about the brakes. Possum! Possum! Isabel, where you going? Izzy. Hey, Sophie. Isabel. He's up here. It's a panda. It's a trash panda. Okay. So I've bled the front brakes on the front of it, and to my conclusion, it does stop with the front brakes if you squeeze them real hard, but and the back brakes are already like fully adjusted, so this thing is due for some shoes in the back and then some pads in the front, and she should be stopping good again. However, we do have front brakes now, so I'm gonna take the liberty to take this thing on a little spin before I load her up. some brakes, but not much. Look at this, y'all. This is tall. Garbage. She's trash. Woo! Damn. Alright. I've had my fun with it. We're gonna put it up now. And there it is. So that's going to conclude our video for today. Stay very tuned for the next video where we put brakes, front disc brakes on a 1955 Oldsmobile. Thank you for watching Gasserworks. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.